Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the Daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 1st and 2nd January 2024, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. So mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look at it. Okay, let's get into the analysis of each and every article one by one. XPOSAT launch. What is ISRO's first mission of this year is about? Yesterday, XPOSAT has been launched by ISRO. So the article is related to the analysis of this launch. Okay, let's look into how the news is related to examination. Under prelims, it is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains, it is related to awareness in the field of IT, space, computers, which comes under GS3, science and technology. Okay, let's get into the further explanation of the news. The X-ray polarimeter satellite, which the ISRO's launched yesterday, is the world's second satellite-based mission dedicated to X-ray polarimetry measurement. Before that, it was the US which has launched the X-ray polarimetry measurement based mission. And the XPOSAT will allow the astronomers to study the nature of X-rays emission, which is being emitted by bright celestial bodies or the celestial sources in the medium energy level. And it comprises of two payloads. One is Indian X-ray polarimeter, which in short form called as POLIX, and then X-ray spectroscopy as well as timing. These are all the two payloads which has been aligned with the XPOSAT satellite so that they will be performing their respective functions. And the mission life is 5 years, which is very important from the perspective of prelims. And XPOSAT will observe sources that emits polarized X-rays. And observations are done when the neutron stars are in transit phase through the Earth shadow, that is during the eclipse time. So this is what the details of the news is about. Let's look into the function of the payloads. That is, the first one is the POLIX. It is the world's first instrument that has been dedicated to operate at the energy level between 8 to 30 kilo electron volt energy band. Before it was the US X-ray polarimeter, which was the first mission to launch into the space to study the X-ray polarization, but their energy band is very less when compared to the POLIX, which is the Indian instrument. And it consists of collimator, which is the key component to filter the light which is been originating from the brighter areas. And beside this, there is a scatter along the X-rays counter detector, which is the X-ray proportional counter detector, which will be measuring the scattering that is arising in the X-rays which has been emitted from various sources. And the XPEC is the another payload which is also being inserted into the satellite, is designed to conduct fast and high spectroscopic resolution in soft X-rays energy band, and it at the same time it will also observe sources like pulsars, black hole binaries, as well as low magnetic field neutron stars, and then active galactic nuclei, and then magnets. So these are all the functions that will be performed by the two payloads which is being inserted into the satellite. Okay, what is the significance the XPOSAT mission will bring is, till now there is previously India has launched a mission dedicated to X-ray to study only the timing and then the broadband spectroscopy of the X-ray. But this is mission name is ASTROSAT, but this is the first dedicated mission to study the polarization of the X-ray. And at the energy band, as I said, is 8 to 30 kilo electron volts. And XPOSAT will observe two kinds of sources. One is persistent sources, that is targeted source, or the source which is constant, and then the transient sources, like in the case of pulsars as well as magnetars. And in space, X-rays get polarized due to multiple causes, like being subjected to strong magnetic field or due to interactions with materials present around the black holes. So by studying the polarized X-ray, which has been emitted from various sources like magnetos, and scientists could able to probe the nature of the radiation as well as the other physiological as well as the chemical aspect of this component or the particles, and then the POLIX will undertake the important measurements like in the case of degree and the angle of the polarization of the X-rays from the environment surrounding the X-rays. So these are all the thing or the significance of this XPOSAT mission is about. Okay, let's look into what is this polarization of X-rays about. So X-rays comprise of electric as well as magnetic field which are constantly in motion, but they are sinusoidal waves, so they won't be in a what to say patterned direction or in the constant direction. But in the case of polarized X-ray, they will be organized and they will follow a patterned direction, and also at the same time the polarized wave will consist of two waves and they will be also vibrating in the same direction. So the polarized wave is different from the normal X-ray wave in the form of, in the case of the pattern of direction, where the normal X-ray will not follow any kind of pattern in their motion, but in the case of polarized X-ray they will be following a patterned direction, a patterned movement or the motion. When the magnetos or black hole emits X-ray, they encounter after emitting, the X-rays will travel through the space. So while traveling through the space, they encounter variety of materials in their way, which in turn will act as the they will collide with those material and they will get polarized in the path in their space. So this is how the polarization of the X-rays will taking place in the space. So what is the other similar mission that has been launched previously is, as I said, the mission on X-rays polarization measurement has been only a handful. Like in the case of in India, it is the first time it has been launched. Previously, it is the US that has launched before some years. And in India, to study the X-ray, it was in 2015 that ASTROSAT was launched, which was meant to study which is the first astronomy space mission which was launched in 2015 to study the timing and then broadband spectroscopy of X-ray sources. So these are all the other similar missions which was launched previously with regards to the X-ray as well as X-rays polarization. So what are the things which we needed to be further aware of is we should be aware of what is the structure, function as well as the objective of the ASTROSAT. Secondly, we should also, in the same way, we should also be aware of what is Chandrayaan 3, and then thirdly, we should also be aware of in space. So these are all the other areas which we need to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Why has many US allies haven't joined its Red Sea security operation? So recently US has launched an operation against the Houthi rebels in the Red Sea following the attack by the Houthi rebels on the ships which is passing through the Red Sea. This is what the news is about. Let's look into the further details of the news. First, we will look into how the news is related to examination. So under prelims, the news is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains, it is related to GS paper 2 international relation under a subtopic called bilateral and regional global groupings and agreements which involves India as well as are affecting the India's interest. So these are all the areas through which the news has been related. Okay, let's look into the further details of the news. As a part of the security initiatives in the Red Sea, the US has launched an operation named Operation Prosperity Guardian, and the US military has opened the fire on the Houthi rebels who's been attacking the ship, the commercial ship which is been passing through the Red Sea. And the recent attacks, why the US has attacked the Houthi rebels is because of the reason which I said. It is because of the attack on the commercial ship of the Houthi on the Red Sea, which is the important trade route in the modern era, which connects the Mediterranean Sea as well as the Indian Ocean. That is the reason why it gains so much importance. And they have prompted this attack on commercial ship by the Houthi rebels have made many business to pass their movement of cargo ship through the Red Sea. So this is what the news is. And why the Houthis have launched the attack on the Red Sea commercial ships which is going through the Red Sea is because to protest against the Israel's military strikes on the Gaza Strip. So basically to protest against the Israel. And initially it was reported that 9 countries were joining the operation, that is along with the US, the UK, Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Seychelles as well as Spain were joining. But other countries like in the case of Australia, Japan, and then US most friendly most friendly Arab countries were also missing to be part of this mission. And why the Arab world haven't participated with the US is, see, right from the beginning, right from the creation of the Israel in 1948, the Arab world has took a principled stand of supporting the Palestinian cause. So several countries, after quite some time, several countries sought to normalize their relationship with Israel in the recent times, but they are also right now condemning the attack made by the Israel on the Gaza Strip. And if anyone is going to, if any members of the Arab countries are going to participate in the US operation means, then it will be against the interest of the Arabs policy which they have been following since the formation of the Israel in 1947, that is supporting the cause of Palestine. And at the same time, Saudi, which is the considered as closed ally of US, has also not participated in the operation because Saudi is right now moving closely with Iran. So Saudi want to build a cordial relationship with Iran despite their ugly past. But this Iran is supporting the Houthi rebels. They are one of the contributor for the financing as well as the weaponry needs for the Houthi rebels. So if Saudi is going to act against the Houthi means, that is by supporting the US means, surely it will be against the interest of the Iran. That is the reason, one of the reason why, apart from the principal stand, the Saudi is also hesitating to participate in the operation along with the US. So this is what the reason why the Arabian country, which is in where most of the countries were ally of US, haven't participated in the operation which has been undertaken recently against the Houthis. So what about the other partners, that is apart from the Arabian countries? That is the Spain defense minister has said is that, what they have said is that they will not be participating unilaterally in the Red Sea operation. And at the same time, Italy is also sending the naval frigate only to protect the interest of their, only to protect their national interest, like because their commercial, Italy's most important commercial ship have also came under attack. So their naval frigates are only been sent by the Italy to safeguard their commercial ship to their homeland. So, and then Austria have also backed away from the operation. Like what they have said is that they won't be sending any kind of ship to support the US, but they will be tripling their contribution to combined maritime forces, which will be based only on their strategic needs, not based on the need of any other country. So this is what the principal stand that has been taken by the Austria. So this is what the news is about. So what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of is we should be aware of what is OPEC, what is their objective of formation, and who are all the countries that are part of it. Secondly, we should also be aware of the Middle East map. Thirdly, we should also be aware of International Energy Agency and their report by them. So these are all the other things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. How the Northeast was invented 52 years ago, the 12 laws that created it. So the news is related to the evolution of the Northeastern states. So under prelims, it is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains, it is related to GS paper 1, modern history and histories from the middle of 18th century and until the present times, and the significant events, personalities, and the issues involved. So these are all the areas how the news has been related to. Let's look into the details of the news. Today, the Northeast India means the diverse region which comprises of 8 states. That is Arunachal, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, Sikkim. And the term came into effect, the term have its root only in 1970s, that is after the enactment of Northeast Council Act. Okay, let's look into the Northeast. What does this Northeast about? The Northeast states officially make up the Northeast are formed as a part of Northeastern Council, which is the statutory body that plays a role in the development of the Northeastern states. The 5 out of the 8 states, that is the Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland, and Mizoram, were once part of the colonial Assam. And then the Manipur as well as Tripura were princely states, but there are the officers, those who are manning those states, will be reporting to the governor of Assam. And then the Sikkim was independent state even after our independence of India, and they became part and parcel of India by 1975, and they made they were made as the member of the Northeastern Council only during 2001. So this is what the evolution of the Northeastern state is about. So let's look into the frontier province. What does this frontier province is? The colonial Assam was initially a frontier province, like in the case of the northwest frontier province like Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is in present day Pakistan. Since they are being the frontier province, they have their unique legal setup because of the strategic position they occupy. It is this kind of unique setup was prevailing from the British period itself. Since they have been the frontier province, the direct rule on them was limited. So the administrative orders, most of the administrative orders could not be carried out beyond the present day Assam as well as Sylhet, which is in Bangladesh. So the region beyond this part was mostly ungoverned during the British time itself, and they are densely populated district, and they have the more they are rich in the economic resources like tea, coal, and then other oil related industries. And beyond this district, they are called as, that is beyond these districts, that is the settled district, the districts until which the administrative orders will be carried out is called as settled districts. And beyond these districts, the areas are called as, the ungoverned areas are called as excluded areas. And these hilly areas were sparsely populated and provided a buffers between the frontier as well as the Tibet as well as Burma during the British period itself. And then in 1914, the northeastern frontier tracts, which is present between the Arunachal Pradesh and then the part of Nagaland, was carved out, and then so a separate northeastern frontier tract was created. So this is what the frontier historical aspect of the frontier state is about. Let's look into the integration into their integration into the Indian state. At the time of independence, the region was unlikely any other territory in India has been inherited from the British. And then the Northeast India as an official place would be born out of the post-colonial Indian states attempt to turn its imperial frontier space into the national space. And to do this, India has made several attempts, like in the case of through many of the executive decisions as well as the legislative actions have been enacted so that their space will be turned out into the national space. That is, they will become into the part and parcel of the Indian state. So after 1947, 98% of the borders became international borders, and then 22-kilometer wide, that is wide corridor in West Bengal, that is the Chicken Neck corridor, is the only passage that connects the northeastern states with the mainland India. This was the scenario after 1947. the things got worse during 1960s. But why? Because India lost the border war with China in 1962. Just as during that time only the Naga independence movement was also in the full swing. And after some 2 to 3 years, after 2 to 3 years, another was started with Pakistan. That is during 1965, and immediately after the war, there was a Mizo rebellion was beginning. So we could able to see that during 1960s there were the period was turmoil in the northeastern state, and then the state of Nagaland was created a year after the China war because of the high pressure which has been brought out because of the Naga independence movement. And then by making the Naga into a state, Indian officials hoped to create the Naga stakeholders into Indian dispensation, which will enable them to quell the Angami Zapu Pizolet rebellion. So through this kind of actions only, such kind of rebellions have been suppressed, and they were made into India. They were made into part and parcel of India. And then with the Northeastern Areas Act of 1971, Manipur as well as Tripura, which was previously union territory, were given the statehood. Similarly, the state of Meghalaya and then the union territory of Mizoram was carved out of the Assam. And then the Northeast Frontier Agency turned out to be the Arunachal Pradesh, and at the same time, both Mizoram as well as Arunachal Pradesh would be granted full statehood only during 1987. And the weight of the name. So because what the northeastern people have been, the northeastern people see themselves as connected with their region, not with the name which has been mentioned by outsiders, like in the case of saying them as northeasterners. They used to identify themselves as themselves connected with their homeland, like in the case of Nagas, Manipuris, so on and so forth. They won't identify themselves as the mere northeasterners. As a result of which, they have been subjected to racial slurs as well as so many discriminations by the outsiders. And this is what the thing about the news is related to with regard to the evolution of the northeastern states is about. So what need to be studied further is we should know about Northeastern Council, and then Zonal Council, and then PESA Act 1966. So these are all the areas which we need to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Foreign portfolio injects nearly 1.7 lakh crores into Indian equities in 2023. So this is what the news is. The news is related to UPSC exam in prelims through a topic called economic and social development. Similarly, under mains GS paper 3 economic development under a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Okay, let's look into the news. See, the FPI has pumped in nearly 1.7 lakh crores into Indian equities in 2023, which was propelled because of strong Indian economic fundamentals despite the global turmoil that is happening around. And another reason why more number of FPIs have been injected to India is because of the reduced US interest rate. And then this is what the thing is, apart from the money that has been invested by portfolio investors in Indian equities, nearly 68,663 crores have been invested in debt market. So together, foreign portfolio investors have invested an amount of 2.4 lakh crores in capital market. So this is what the thing is. Let's look into what is this FPI is about. They are the investment by the non-resident in Indian securities, which includes shares, government bonds, corporate bonds, as well as convertible securities, etc. And the advantage, what advantage does it bring is, first and foremost, they will enable organization to raise the capital. Secondly, it will ensure high return to the investors, and then they are highly liquid. So these are all the advantages it will bring to the investors. And at the same overall, it will bring growth as well as development to the economies, because the companies will be getting the liquid or the cash which they wanted to invest in the economy. Secondly, it has certain disadvantage. First and foremost is the capital flight. Whenever there is any kind of economic disturbance or turmoil that is happening domestically, means investors will be pulling out the money which they have invested in. Secondly, currency risk. They have been subjected to currency risk. Thirdly, they are also subjected to inflation risk. So these are all the disadvantages the FPI holds. So what are all the regulations does it bring us? Does India have to regulate the FPI? Is the SEBI, which is the regulatory authority, being created in 1992 to regulate the equity market, and then they have promulgated a regulations called SEBI Regulations 2019, which will regulate the foreign portfolio investment. Secondly, foreign portfolio investments are also subjected to regulations of Foreign Exchange Management Act, that is FEMA Act, and then the Income Tax Act 1961. So these are all the regulations act that has been present right now to regulate the FPI. So what are all the things which we need to be further aware of? Is we should be aware of what is FDI, what is balance of payment, and what is the structure, function, as well as mandate for creating SEBI as well as RBI. These are all the other areas which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Let's look into today's practice prelims question. Mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. And with this, we have reached the end of today's session. So please do like, comment, share, as well as subscribe Ganesh IAS YouTube channel. So you will be receiving the notification related to important sessions that will be brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy in the future. Thank you.